What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. So I am back to give you a new market update. We're actually going to start looking into July 1st because I'm going to be using the market viewer. It's a lot easier for me to kind of jump in between data as far as counties and cities and break that down a little bit better for you. Now, since we did just finish up August, there's going to still be, the numbers should be relatively close. Of course, as we start to go towards those cooler months, things will start to kind of trend and slow down a little bit, even more than they already have. So if you're looking to buy or sell in the local Central Texas area, stay tuned. Make sure you reach out to me. Follow me from one of my social media handles down below. I'm always here to help. Or if you just have some questions about the area, feel free to send me a message or follow me. Do whatever. Just get in contact with me and I'll be happy to help or see if I can get an answer for you. Now, like I said, as we start to go towards our cooler months, we will start to see things kind of slow down. Interest rates, of course, are still a hot topic. They're still higher than they were the previous couple years. And so that's adding on to that factor of why things are slowing down as well. Because buyers, if they were already kind of tired of the kind of back and forth with everything, if they were tired of the competition, or if now they've gotten priced out a little bit than where they originally wanted to be at, all of those things are kind of adding to our current situation as far as the market. So if you were a seller and you were, thinking to sell, it's still an excellent time to sell. But I will say you want to make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that you take a little bit extra time, get your home ready, declutter, depersonalize. If there's some repairs that you're already aware of, go ahead and get them. You can even get a pre-inspection done. Kind of depending on the home, sometimes I may suggest that. So that way you kind of know what you're going to already be looking at. Get those items done. Make sure your home is, as market ready as can be. The buyers come in, they feel welcome. They feel like it's already their home. So of course, if you're looking to sell, I'll give you some more details. Contact me and we can get your home on the market. But it is a shift, so you need to realize that and kind of be prepared for that. Now, buyers, if you're out there buying and you're still looking, now is the time because you can get some excellent deals. If you're looking for new construction, they have all sort of incentives. If you're looking just for resale homes, a lot of sellers are definitely starting to move a little bit more. They're going to be covering closing costs or things like that because they want their homes sold. So for buyers, it can be an excellent time, especially if you're burnt out from the previous kind of wars that were going on. As we've said before, that was not sustainable. So now we are starting to see that shift happen. And so now it's going to be a little of a balance. Everyone has to readjust and act accordingly. So without further ado, let's get into this information and let's see what's going on in our market. All right, you guys. So like I said, we are using the Texas Realtor Market Viewer. And if you see me kind of looking off, it's a little different from the camera. So I wanted to use this because although this is July data, it's a lot easier for me to jump back and forth between cities and counties so you guys can really see what's happening. And then August is going to be somewhat closer numbers. But either way, you'll kind of have a really fresh kind of update. And like I said, we've kind of already spoken about some changes that we are seeing. So it's still a good time to sell. It's a great time to buy, but we are just adjusting to our kind of new normal as things start to regulate and, settle down. So I have it set right now for the city of Killeen. So if you're relocating to the Ft.Hood area, the main area is Killeen, Harker Heights, kind of Copper's Cove. So we're going to take a look at each one of those and see what's happening. So over the month of July, the average price was looking at $249, just a tad bit under $250. And if you've been in this area for a while, that's that's a good bit more than we used to be a few years ago. I mean, you could get new construction under 200 like 4 or 5 years ago. So we've jumped up and appreciated relatively quickly. As you can see, closed sales are actually down from a year to date. So that's kind of showing you how our market is starting to change a little bit. Active listings have gone up quite a bit. So we actually have inventory sitting on the market. It's not like before where you got to make a decision like in 13 seconds because there's already 6 offers. It is legitimately kind of changing. Now, this may not apply to all homes. So that doesn't mean that, I can just, do whatever. If you're coming to this area and you're watching my video, I hope you're speaking to me and we can act accordingly to each, per situation. But either way, if homes are still going, some homes are still going relatively quickly. So if it's very popular, if it's new, if it's priced right, if it's in a very desirable area, if it's got a lot of great factors going for it, then, of course, the home is still going to probably go relatively quickly. So just something to keep in mind, but we are seeing more inventory. We're seeing inventory sit longer. We're seeing homes come back on the market. We're starting to see sellers putting extra incentives on there. So now it's even more important to have an agent. Previously, sometimes people are like, well, I don't really need you. But, as stuff starts to kind of settle back down, it's always important to have an agent because this is what we do every day. But, now you can't just pop a sign in the yard and it's sold. Now we're actually doing marketing, we're doing door knocking, we're sending out flyers, we're pushing on social media, we're doing different campaigns, we're sending out to other realtors, we're trying to reach other buyers from different listings that maybe didn't get that home circulating through your home. So there's a lot of different factors going on right now. And as you can see, months of inventory is actually sitting at 1 month, so it's it's up from last year. And really months of inventory in a healthy market is about 2, maybe 3 months. So we're still not quite to normal. It's just regulating. And so it's just really been kind of a shock for everyone. Even agents just getting used to it again, because, we've been seeing the last couple of years. But I'm excited to be working with my buyers because it's just so much more pleasant when you're not going against 6 other offers, if not more, on one single home, because that's very tiring for everyone, and it's super frustrating. And I hate for people to have to spend extra money, because moving and purchasing and selling a home can already be very taxing and expensive. So for things to start to regulate again, I think is excellent and just kind of a breath of fresh air for everyone. So the median price per square foot, we're looking at $140. Now, as you can still see, that's still up. So homes have still appreciated. It doesn't mean homes have stopped appreciating at all. But, from now, wherever we'll see ourselves in the future, but for the foreseeable, that was a remix, for the foreseeable future, we're not going to see those aggressive price hikes and appreciations so quickly, which is good, because kind of what I've said in our other videos, if you're PCSing here, this is a predominantly military town. So the military station or base is our that is our engine. So if the military is no longer able to afford housing here, then that actually becomes very problematic, because in that everything else kind of, dispersed beyond that. So we have medical, we have teaching, we have other occupations here, but for our immediate area, that is kind of our engine, what kind of brings people here for one reason or the other. Now, of course, we actually have a lot of Austin and kind of, that whole area starting to drizzle over into our area as well, simply because even though the housing market has slowed down, 4 to 5, 600,000 more homes on average is still just not everyone's price range. So we have seen a kind of like the overflow from them kind of coming over into Killeen area, which I completely understand as a person that worked in Austin for a few years. It's cool to have fun, but it is very expensive. And so, unless you're making a certain amount of money, trying to purchase a home, especially in those immediate areas, is very tough. So days on market, we're looking at 21, and that's definitely up compared to what we've seen previously. Like I said, that's case per case. So if you have a great home, price well, desirable neighborhood, excellent condition, then of course that home is probably still going to go relatively quickly. Days to close 31, that's still about average. Once you go under contract, you're still looking about that average 30-day time frame. Of course, some can go a little quicker depending on your lender or what type of loan it is, or if it's cash, that's totally different. And then of course, sometimes they do extend. So, that's a case by case. And you're looking at total days 52. That's just for a different one. So average year built, we're looking at 2006. So relatively, some still newish homes. 2006 doesn't seem that long ago, but homes are actually starting a little bit age on them. Now, as you can see, the close / original price. So this is still, homes going slightly above, and that's at 101.3%. So it's still lower than what we've previously seen. And like I said, this is going to be a case by case. So not all homes are going over their list price anymore. A lot of them are at price or maybe a little bit under. Buyers asking for seller concessions. So we're starting to kind of see that regulation and just kind of that normalcy kind of come back. So let's take a look at Harker Heights, because like I said, that is one of the next most popular areas, and as you see, there's quite a bit of a price trend. So the average is looking at 315. And that's up 14% from year to date. Closed sales, it's down 64. Active listings has gone up by quite a bit. So like I said, we're seeing that market start to stabilize. We're seeing more inventory sit on the market. So you can actually make a decision. You can go home and maybe think about it, or, look it over the weekend. Months of inventory, this is actually higher than Killeen. So we're sitting at over a month and a half. So very much starting to get back into those regular habits. Days on market 23, days to close 29. So all that is still relatively close. Average price per square foot 148. So of course that's a little bit higher than the Killeen, the one that we just saw. So as you see, like Killeen and Harker Heights, they're literally neighboring cities, but there is a little bit different with the housing market just within those two. And we're going to take a look at Copper's Cove, because that's another very popular area. Now, Copper's Cove does sit out a little bit, so it's still very much in our immediate spot, but it is a little bit further out. And that one's a little bit lower at $209,000. Active listings has gone up, months of inventory has gone up, closed sales has gone down. So once again, we're still in that same trend. Things are sitting on the market. We have a little bit more inventory, which is good, which is healthy. Let me remind you, even a seller, I know it's a little frustrating and you're like, did I miss the mark? it's still an excellent time to sell, but we are just going to have to adjust our expectations a little bit. Days on market 19. So this is actually a little bit lower compared to Harker Heights and Killeen. Days to close 30. So that's still about where we're looking at. Price per square foot 139. So still, they're averaging relatively close. Now, another relatively popular area here is Belton. A lot of people kind of sit out towards that way too. Now, as you can see, Belton jumped up quite a bit. So these are sometimes larger homes. As you go towards Belton and Temple, you will see kind of the price tag go up a little bit. So the average here, we're sitting at 412, which may be more relatable to certain areas, especially if we're relocating, because Killeen and Harker Heights and Copper's Cove, even though it's gone up for us, it's still a lot lower compared to, majority of areas. So maybe 412 is a little bit more what you're used to seeing in your local area, wherever you're coming from. Days on market 16, closed sales much lower, active listings still up, months of inventory have gone up. So much, for the most part, still the same trend. So what we're going to take a look at next is rates. So we kind of touched on that a little bit. Now, as you can see, so we're just looking at Freddie Mac. This is something you can, everyone has access to. You can just literally Google it, kind of monitor it for yourself. So right now we're averaging 5.89. So of course that's up a good bit compared to, just this time last year when people, I remember we're sitting in September, I had a client that was going on a contract in October for new construction sitting at a little over 3%. So now we're sitting at 5.89, and that's average. Of course, it's case by case. If you're already working with the lender, then you already know your amount. If you don't, and you're talking to me, I'll get you connected with the lender. But there is a big difference between that. And sometimes people don't realize it until you go under contract, or you get, if you were looking then and you're now getting estimates, now you're like, why did my monthly payment go up $300 or $400, $500? It's because those interest rates. So it really does matter. Now, depending on your situation, sometimes you can get a lock, buy down. A lot of new construction are offering some better incentives for our interest rates. So if that's something that you're looking at, I would definitely kind of see what their preferred lender is able to offer, because at the end of the day, it's about, getting you the best deal that we can, saving you some money, because that 1% to 2%, even 0.5% does make a big difference, especially over an extended period of time. Now, if you do get locked in at a 5 or higher percent, that's fine. Historically, over the US history, this is not a high one. There's been many times when it was in double digits, but it's just higher compared to what we've recently seen. So don't panic when things cycle and it does start to trim back down. You can't always refinance your home. Now, you do want to speak to a lender about that, of course, because it's not something that you necessarily do for free. So there are some fees attached to it, but it is definitely an option to get a refinance once interest rates do drop back down, because over the period of your loan, of course, that does save you a significant amount of money. Now, one thing I really wanted to kind of touch point on as we start to really talk about those price changes is, so this is the recent MLS, and these are price decreases. So as you can see, we're sitting at 85, and this is for this week. So, it's not, we're being serious when we're saying the market is starting to adjust. And these are, whether it could be several reasons, but for the most part, it's going to be, that home maybe was sitting it a little bit longer. Maybe it was priced already kind of at the top of its, price range. Maybe came back on the market. There's different factors that kind of come into it. But seeing these numbers and seeing the increase of price decreases is definitely showing that for sure, this market is starting to change. Now, some of the larger entities that were purchasing homes are right at market value, and then, adding $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on top of it. We are seeing, or at least I'm seeing, a lot of theirs sit longer too, and they're constantly having to kind of adjust their price. Typically they adjust their price like a couple thousand, but over a period of time they are chunking them down to meet realistic expectations into the market. And so, like I said, for buyers, now it gets a little fun for them, because now they can actually choose a home versus having to go rush to one. They can kind of negotiate a little bit more. They can ask for things. They can get some, maybe their closing costs covered or partial, depending on the home situation, things like that. But it actually makes it, purchasing a little bit more relief. Buying a home is already going to be stressful, and it's a lot, and it's a lot of verbiage and different parties into it, but at least you do have a little bit more calmness with choosing your home, which I think, of course, makes that experience a lot more pleasant. So there was a quick recap of what's happening in our current market. Of course, if you're relocating to the Ft.Hood, Killeen, Harker Heights, even Austin area, I do cover that as well. Please feel free to reach out. All my social media handle will be down below. Shoot me a message, say hi, do whatever, ask me some questions. Of course, I have lenders that I've already partnered with, so we will get you taken care of for sure. If you're looking to sell your home, like I said before, it is still an excellent time to sell. We just have to adjust and get your home ready. And, there's a few things that we're going to tweak to go with the current market. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with somebody if they're relocating, or just enjoy the video yourself. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.